Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be going so slow on this. So slow. There's no, there's going to be no rushing to get this one done. Just easy. It's Here, get that off. That's 6 minutes. Oh, lots of time. Lots of time. That's always a good plan. I had a tough time getting up this morning to do this. I just want extra raffle entries. Just noticed I was going to use the Steerzo. There's like a clunk in it. That's super weird. Like catches right there. I gotta take it apart, take a closer look. That's annoying. Oh, my tires could use it pumping up. Tires never get pumped up. Well, they're on. I have an Elite Steerzo that I bought. And when I bought it, I didn't look into what programs like dirt on it or something. I didn't look into what programs it was compatible with. I knew it was compatible with Zwift. Oh, there was like dirt on it. But I was talking with Brian Kellison, and he has the Steerzo, but if you use the phone app to steer, the Steerzo tilts the bars enough that it works. So I'm going to try it today. Like if I just turn my bars that much, the phone app thinks I'm steering. Boom, steering. Turn it right there. Boom, steering. You just have to turn the sensitivity up a little bit. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, steering. Like it just turns, it tips the bars just enough to trigger the phone Yeah, it seems like, well, for this 9 seems to work. 10 is a little too sensitive and it doesn't auto center, but yeah, 9. Or I have a stream deck on my bars. I thought it could just be like, I could put an A and D key on the stream deck. Or I mean, I have the app open, I could just press, but it's kind of nice just to be able to do that. But the race yesterday, I had the app open and I was stuck. Yeah, that'd probably be weird because like if you're trying to steer around someone in a sprint and then you're like, the bars are like this, it's super crooked. Oh, there we go. Why not pair my stuff? Are you kidding me? Sitting here for 10 minutes. There we go. That was dumb. Let's see. Ah, it totally works. Well, that's good. Oh, that hill at the end looks crazy. Have fun in your basement. Thanks for stopping by. What was that? Was that a wheelie? That'd be a good idea. There should be like winning tricks. Like a guy jumps off the bike and does like a dance. Hey, have a good day, Dimitri. Enjoy your fresh air. Is it still snowing up there? Or is there still a ton of snow on the ground? Doc, how's it going? Right. Testing out the steering action here. Going super slow, but I've caught a few people who aren't steering. Just waking up. Well, it is Sunday, so it's pretty good actually, because I was watching, I have the SteerZo, so the SteerZo is not compatible with RGT yet. But if you put your phone on the bar, the steering, using the SteerZo to steer, it tips your phone just enough that it triggers the steering. So it's kind of like a cheap steering hack, but it works. Yeah, it's definitely only 7:30 on a Sunday morning. It's just not super consistent. Like, it's not awesome. Like the SteerZo in Zwift is more like a real game controller where it's more sensitive. Like if you just turn your bars a little bit, the guy just turns a little bit. With this, it's like turning in lanes. It's kind of like a little bit jittery, but it works. See, like I just totally carved through all those turns, and there's a person right there. I'm gonna catch them. On them, slow it down. Legs are pretty toast from yesterday. If you're just doing minor turning, just easy enough to just use your phone or something, or use the keyboard. I might put A and D buttons in the Stream Deck. I can't just go like this. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the SteerZo in Zwift works really cool. Like I say, it's like a game controller. So if you only turn this much, you can really dial in. And RGT steering is just lanes. Well, 30 seconds is a big advantage. I think Zwift, the steering implementation in RGT is not the best, but I applaud them for doing something and sticking to it and not like bending over to the masses where it's like, oh, steering is an advantage. That's not fair. RGT is like, dude, steering's part of the game. This is how it is. Use your phone to steer or use your keyboard. Like Zwift, like this stupid SteerZo. It's $100 and whatever dollars. Fucking doesn't work for 98%. What is it? Actually, 100% of all events. Every event in Zwift is like, steering is disabled. Like, heaven forbid you get an advantage because you paid for it. Why even make this then? Like, why make it? Yeah, you have a kicker bike. You got steering, like. Like, Zwift races don't mean anything really. Group rides don't mean anything. If I win the Tour de Zwift Stage C because I have steering, it's not a win. It's a freaking group ride. Who cares? Like, if people are bitchy about their placings in group rides, actually join a real race. It's kind of the same as all the other regular races. It's not a series that you get points in. You're not getting awarded on your placing in Joe Schmo's Wednesday night race. Steering in team time trials would be a freaking game changer because Zwift's pack dynamics suck and it's nearly impossible to get a perfect line all the time because you get spit out of the line for random, no apparent reasons. My Sunday morning rant. I feel like Zwift is so concerned about not offending people. Morning, Pookie. How's it going? There's a few of you guys that are up super early. Sunday morning, what are you doing awake? Well, I'm not bad. I'm tired. Like, the legs got no punch in them, but I was expecting the worst this morning, and I think it feels kind of good to cruise along just zone one and stretch things out. Dreading this monstrous Alp, the frickin' RGT at the end of this course, though. I was 5th of 5. There was only 5 people in my age group. 3 of the 5 were super fast dudes. 2 of the 5 was me and a good friend of mine. Oh, I know, Brian just took it. It was amazing. I was watching on the app. I was watching the front of the pack. On the rider list, I could see everyone's watt output and their distance. Bit of an issue with the steering, though, is what they found out yesterday, that if you had the RGT app open, so they disabled steering for the event. So it was going to work like normal. People would draft. Your avatar would veer around people. If you had the app open, it broke things. So I usually always have the app open because I'm like looking at chat, you know, seeing what people are reading, looking at the rider list. My guy was stuck in this exact position the entire race. It was for me, it was a solo TT. So the real race within a race was me versus my buddy. We are very, very evenly matched, but he was able to draft because he didn't have the app open, but no one figured out that it was the app. People were just like, I'm stuck. I restarted the app a few times, but I mean, the app really has sort of nothing to do with the game. So yeah, I was in this exact lane for the whole race. Well, they turned it off, but I don't think internally they tested that even if it's off and you open the app, it breaks it. So, you know what? I'm all for the innovation. And I was like, steering is cool. I'm using steering right now. I've been cutting corners all over the place. But it didn't change my result, really. I mean, if I was able to draft my buddy, I could have out-sprinted him and got 4th, 5th. Who really sort of care? But like Brian didn't steer. He was like, oh, I won. And I'm like, dude, I watched your VOD. You stayed in the same lane for the entire race. So what if Brian, who couldn't steer, got beat by like a second by a guy who was drafting the whole time and saving energy? Like, Brian was drafting, but he was drafting when the big group came around him. He wasn't actually steering. So he did get a draft at the beginning because the pack was so huge. But once he got sort of out of the pack, he never left. Like Brian, if you watch his VOD, see, Brian was like right here, this part of the lane, the entire race, never moved once. But I mean, he attacked solo. He didn't need the draft. But yeah, super solo breakaway. But if you were with the pack and you were fighting the pack and your guy wasn't adjusting and everyone else's was, and you lost by a second or two, that's shitty. This is national champs. That's a huge, huge fail on RGT's part. I've not had any problem with RGT, but that steering thing fiasco, like, they should have come out with it this Tuesday. Because also what happened, also what happened too is once they enabled steering, that was it. You had to steer. So people were practicing the course, being forced to steer, but the event was steering off. So people couldn't practice. I mean, people should have been practicing for weeks, not the week of. But the week of, people are practicing the course. trying to learn how your avatar reacts, but you're forced to steer. So all those people that joined late to practice got screwed because they had no chance. Like, they were doing this, but that's not how the game reacted. So you can't learn like the nuances of, you know, how the game responds. But that's also their fault for doing it the week of. Like, there's a lot of people that like didn't ride the course, didn't do anything, just kind of was like, I'm gonna ride RGT once, show up. Like Brian, he rode the course every day for 2 weeks. He knew every little freaking spot. The elite, yeah, like the elite men's last year, the guy who won the elite men's last year was very, very familiar with RGT, and he knew the exact spot to launch a sprint in the final 300 meters, and he won. He won, and I mean, he won because he could keep up with everybody else, but that sprint move just caught everyone off guard. Because right before the finish, there was a dip down. He came over the top hard, sprinted into the little dip, but on the map, the dip was imperceptible. He gained so much freaking speed coming over the top, dipping down, carried it to the finish. Everyone was like, where the heck did that guy go? He just got like 20 meters on everybody. It's a good watch. I highly recommend looking up on YouTube the stream, the 2022 Canadian Men's Elite Nationals. It's probably the best e-race I've ever seen. Like, I've watched it like 5 times, and every time I watch it, I'm like, oh goddamn! Like, it was so nail-biting. That's mainly because RGT kind of allows breaks, and what you were experiencing with the newest pack dynamics, it blows the race wide open when guys can like make a break and make a break stick. If you're gonna watch it, I won't say anything more, but it is a good watch. I'm actually surprised the guy who won last year didn't race this year. He wasn't on the start list, which is, and I would expect that he's in pretty good shape because I saw him on like the provincial time trial standings where he was like extremely high placed. Steering isn't helping me. Not gaining on anybody at this wattage. Trying to keep it 150 or lower and trying to keep my heart rate down. This course wasn't nearly as scary as I expected. It's like all the climbing is right near the end, but leading up to the climb, there's a lot of rolly sections. Looking at the time though, 45 minutes in, 17K in, oh, missed that turn. think though, the attendance was down due to a bunch of the hoops people had to jump through to get into the race. Like this year, there was mandatory weigh-in video. There was a mandatory power verification video, which, funny enough, after doing, well, as a streamer, it's super easy. Like my buddy had to use his cell phone to film himself doing this like test. As a streamer, it was like load up the verification workout, record, done. I mean, I was like, oh, I was one of those people too where I was like, this is ridiculous. This is a lot of stuff to do. But after doing it and after being in the race, I'm like, really? I'm sure. Yeah, I was thinking, it's like, because in the video they wanted to like see your trainer, and I'm like, here's me calibrating my trainer, and I had the app like open like in the screen, like. So really, I mean, it's the national freaking championships. There should be some checks and balances in place. This isn't a Zwift Tuesday night, you know, crit race. This is nationals. Like, it's huge. Like, you're in an official freaking ranking. So to have some verification video, like, ooh. I mean, any person that was in that event rides hard indoors all the time. For them to take one ride and produce it was easy. It was easy, and it was worth it. Because I appreciate the transparency of the national bodies, and I appreciate knowing that every single person in that race had a weigh-in video, had power verification, like it was legit. At no point, any time in that race, we were like, oh, that guy seems to be like going harder than he should. Yeah, I'm like super happy that it was, you know, like, and my buddy was kind of like, he got fourth. And so he was kind of like, oh, 4th of 5. That's funny. There was only 5 people. And I'm like, no, man, that's kick-ass. This race was open to everybody. You got 4th in Canada for your age group. Every person in our age group in Canada was allowed to join that race. Just people didn't want to jump through the 1-hour video hoop. So be it. You're 4th in Canada, man. Like, you can go around telling everyone that you placed 4th in Canada. Because everyone had an option of racing in that race, and everyone chose not to. So that's on them. You don't get counted. Yes, I was 5th. People in the real world can beat me. I'm slow. I'm 5th. You should have showed up. You didn't show up, you don't get a rank. I'm forever listed as 5th in Canada. I mean, I already had sort of an e-bio passport. I think the e-bio passport thing is going to become more and more prevalent. Yeah, I'll be like, I remember when I'm like 60 years old, 2023, came 5th. I remember that day fondly. There was at least 300 people in that race. And I was 5th. Well, that was like Zwift. Zwift actually did an unofficial national championships every year. Like, it wasn't with the governing body. Zwift actually was like, we're doing the Zwift, because it was called like the Zwift National Championships. And they had, each country had their own race. And I remember the very first year that Zwift did it. I think I got 80th because there was only like 100 people in it. And then the second year there was like 1,200 people. But the problem with Zwift hosting national or doing their own thing, how many people out of those 120 were like, didn't have their trainers calibrated properly? So despite the field being smaller yesterday, I really appreciated racing against people who put the effort in to be in that race. And I hope the national bodies, Canada and Cycling USA, I hope they don't look at the results and go, wow, attendance was down, shitty. No, it was good. Because people are lame. Yeah, like I dual recorded yesterday. Like my stages, cranks, and my Wahoo kicker, my average overall, it varies point to point. It seems like my kicker like sprints more, but the overall average wattage was within 0.5% between the two. Like for me personally, I'm not gonna win. I'm not the fastest. I enjoy the atmosphere and I enjoy pushing myself and competing in these kind of events. And I do it fairly. Like my weight is always on target. Like I weigh myself almost daily as I'm trying to like shed the extra pounds. And I usually put in my 7-day rolling average into Zwift. But see, with RGT offering sort of these events for free, I don't think RGT is concerned about losing subscribers. To me, Zwift is more concerned about losing paying customers than it is about fairness. I've dived deep into Zwift Power, Strava, you know, checking people. There was one event, the dude would average 1,200 watts every event. And I was like, man, he's going like 77 kilometers an hour in the jungle, 1,200 watts, multiple event, over and over again. But he was only going in events like group rides that weren't listed on Zwift Power. See, Zwift Power now, all of the fondos and everything are counted as Zwift Power rides. But in the early days of Zwift Power, only rides that were actually picked up as races were on. So this dude had 0 races. He knew what he was doing. He knew that he was entering in races or rides that weren't being picked up by Zwift Power. And I looked on his Strava, it was open. He knew better. Plus, and so I emailed Zwift and was like, look at this dude, here's all these events, 1,200 watts. And Zwift comes back with oh, well, you know, we have to give every rider the benefit of the doubt because maybe they don't know how to calibrate their trainer. And I'm like, no, this has nothing to do with trainer calibration. No trainer calibrates that you do 1,200 watts all the time. Well, you know, and they weren't going to approach the guy at all. They were just going to let him continue doing 1,200 watts. But anyone in their right mind would know you can't ride your bike at 77 kilometers an hour. At some point, that dude would go, huh, why am I winning everything? No, he's doing it because he knows better. He's doing it on purpose. But that's Zwift's tagline is, oh, maybe he just needs to check his calibration. Well, are you going to approach him and say, hey, dude, yeah, exactly. Like Zwift, are you going to approach this user and say, by the way, we think your trainer's not calibrated properly. Can you please like check it? No, they just ignored it. It's kind of like the steering thing I was ranting about earlier. Zwift should just open up steering. I bought this stupid SteerZo, not realizing that Zwift turns steering off all the time. Like there's guys out there cheating with like undetectable ANT+ signals, and they won't allow steering because they're concerned that people will complain because I have an unfair advantage by cutting corners. No, and that's the leads to the other problem of Zwift. Their software sucks balls. They can't implement anything into their software. They can't handle it. Yeah, well, that's like any, like RGT is based on Unity as well. Like any program using a trusted, tried and true game engine, it's easy to do stuff. It's not easy, but it's easier. Like, I can't imagine Zwift trying to hire software developers and then go, hey buddy, check it. Welcome, you're the new software developer for Zwift. Here, let me spend 3 months getting you up to speed on our proprietary game engine. The software's like, what the heck? You know, like RGT puts out an ad. MyWhoosh puts out an ad looking for software developers with Unity experience. Boom, done. Working, productive. RGT steering doesn't, well, I'm hodgepodging it together, but there's just like an ever so slight delay. I do have to say the SteerZo is like, the SteerZo is not working. The SteerZo is leaning my phone. That's what's doing the steering. Well, Zwift honestly has no excuse at all. Zwift has been a stagnant game since they came out. It's been the same underlying game for, what, 28 years? 8 years. Yes, they've added features. That doesn't make up for 8 years. Like World of Warcraft, I mean, different scale of economics. World of Warcraft has come out with like 4 expansions in 8 years, and each expansion drastically updates the system and totally adjusts graphics and everything. It's the same sort of underlying game, but it's completely upgraded. Like if you take away a bunch of all the features they added, the underlying graphics and game is nearly identical. I mean, they're doing better with every new world, but for 8 years of development and with the funding that they have gotten, they are so far behind. And all they've done is spend the funding on like advertising, paying to be sponsors of like the UCI Women's World Champs, which is great. Appreciate women's racing. Glad they're picking up big sponsors. Slightly delay. You have to like really, like second to last place. I'm not making any ground on any of these people. Well, too, how much money did Zwift spend on the hardware side of things? So they had an investment, funding of $450 million. I mean, they blew through that cash pretty fast. Their hardware thing, that was a bunch of baloney. They probably spent tens of millions of dollars developing hardware only to like can it. Like, and then what does Zwift do is just turn around and buy someone else's trainer and rebrand it? They should have frickin' done that from the beginning. They've made some seriously poor business choices. I really like what they've done with this last update with the elevation thing, but they need to lower it because it's behind the segment section. So when you're on a timed segment, you can't see it. Like there it is in the distance. What the heck does it say? Like it's too high. Like when I come around the corner, it should be way lower. Probably just easy enough. I'm just doing mild steering just to push the darn phone button. There's that white beam. What does it say? It's too high. It's too high. Wahoo needs to cut that in half. I appreciate that they're trying new things. There's just a few little tweaks that they need. I'm past the halfway mark, but I have 75% of the climbing to go. Maybe it's gonna be 2.5+ hours at this pace. Brian, I can't believe Brian was like, I'm gonna race those segments. Like, how are you not tired after soloing? Yeah. Oh, he's doing 1 watt per kg. He's done 38 kilometers. Like 11K ahead of me. I was texting with him last night. And I'm like, oh, are you doing the Fondo? He's like, sure am. He's like, I'm just going to take it easy between them. But I'm going to like go hard on the segments. Like, why don't you just take it easy the whole freaking ride? So the idea with this race is they run this race in 3 time zones. So you pick one of the 3, or maybe it's 4 time zones. And your placing in the race doesn't matter. It's the timed segments. So everyone is ranked on these timed segments. And a lot of these segments are quite freaking long. Like this segment here is 6.5K. So then after all the time zones have finished, they filter through the segment times and give everyone a ranking. I haven't raced any of the segments because I'm only in it for the raffle prizes. They have a very large list of kick-ass raffle prizes. And for every event that you do, which is there's 6 of them, you get a raffle entry. New streaming stuff? What is it? I love streaming stuff. See you. Right? Axune Simo? I haven't heard of that. Creeping me out over there. Shut the door. The door is still open. All you did was turn the light off. It's gonna ignore you. Interesting. Can't hear what you're saying. That'd be kind of handy. I have to look that up after. So I was distracted. My wife is like peeking through the garage door, being a weirdo. I'll look that up after. That sounds cool. I mean, phones these days are so flippin' powerful. Oh, shift. I'm gonna have to do a stream demonstration of it working. I'd like to see that thing in action. That's good, because that's a cost. Like, all that streaming stuff costs so freaking much money. Oh, that person's got steering too. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Muxer 1 to actually be fully finished. It is still definitely a work in progress. It's getting there. It's getting there. Like, they're definitely working on it. And there's changes all the time. It's just not quite there. I've, done testing with it at home, but I wouldn't say, like at this point, I wouldn't go out to do a stream to rely on it. But it seems to be hit and miss, whether it's functioning. But the team there definitely has, it's going to get there. I definitely believe it's going to get there. The BellaBox, the guy who made the software for BellaBox, he's kind of doing a little bit of the hardware side as well. But he's doing very, very limited runs, what he's calling the BellaBox B, which is his own hardware, his own case, with his software, which I think at this point is the better way to go, just because his system right now is tried, true, and tested. It just works pretty much flawlessly. The biggest issue with using a Jetson Nano for streaming is the Jetson Nano doesn't take very much power input, and it doesn't allow a lot of devices to be powered by it. So when you use a stock NVIDIA Nano developer kit, what happens is you end up with a lot of powered USB hubs. Like, I have 2 batteries. I have a powered USB hub. I got things powered, plugged into the USB hub. Like, it's a lot of wires. It's a mess. There's a lot of points of failure when you have things in a backpack. But what the Muxer 1, the problem it was trying to solve, which it did, it just doesn't stream so great right now. And the BellaBox B is they're taking the actual Jetson Nano chip and putting it on a custom carrier board, kind of like a custom motherboard. And that custom carrier board allows for a crap ton of power input. So right now, with the stock Nano, you don't want to put anything that uses power to plug into it, because it will brown out, cause the stream to go dead. But with the custom carrier board, you can put 50 watts in. So the system itself is way more streamlined because you got one high-powered battery plugged into it and everything else being powered by it. Simple. Battery in, stuff out. Done. Right now, but yeah, actually dedicated streaming phone. I know a lot of guys that actually stream from phone. I mean, they stream through the Bella box so they can get bonding. Or like a Samsung Galaxy S22 or an iPhone 14 streams badass. The picture quality is unbelievable. Well, with the implementation of 5G in more spots, it's becoming more and more viable to stream with one data plan. Actually, the ultimate thing for freaking streaming would be the YOLO box. If the YOLO box could do bonding, it would be badass. But it doesn't do bonding. That's where they fail. If you could put 2 SIM cards in a YOLO box, you'd be set. Hey, Matchez. Because the YOLO box has HDMI inputs, you can do all your overlays, you can it's a production thing. You could do multi-camera interviews and be like swapping back and forth. Like literally YOLO box on your handlebar with like multiple cameras. Now, I've seen, I don't know if anyone's done it, but I've heard talks of people trying to do it, is you could take the YOLO box video feed and run the YOLO box through the Bella box. So you just use the Bella box's encoding and bonding, but you're using the YOLO box for all of your everything else. Because the YOLO box can take multiple inputs and just send it out on one output. I know a bunch of guys use like the ATEM mini HDMI splitter, which kind of does the same thing. But with the YOLO box, it's also a monitor, so you can actually watch and see what the heck is going on. Probably crash on your bike. You're like sitting there watching the YOLO box. I always thought I would love to do like a live race. Have a camera pointing back and a camera pointing forward, and then you can just be like picture in picture on the YOLO box. Yeah, totally would be. What I'd like to do in the crits next year is have one camera at the start. Yeah, like have one camera at the start finish line, and then me wandering the rest of the race with a separate camera. I mean, you wouldn't do it on the YOLO box. You would need 2 separate like Bella boxes. next corner. Oh, that person's pushing that hill. I'm using an Elite Steerzo with the phone on my handlebars, and with the RGT app, with the sensitivity cranked up, the Steerzo leans your bars just enough to make it work. I can't use the Steerzo as a steering device, but it does work. I think I have the sensitivity to, yeah, 9. 9 works good. 10 was a little bit too aggressive, but yeah, I have to, like, I can turn my bars. The phone is really sensitive, like it just needs to lean just a little bit. Yeah, and the Steerzo, it turns the phone just enough. So it's been working like that. But the steering is definitely not as linear as Zwift. The Zwift, it's more like a game controller, where if you turn your bars 2 degrees, your guy shifts 2 degrees. RGT steering right now is just sort of lanes. Like you do this and you kind of like pick your lane. And when you press the steering, it kind of gives you those markers on the ground as a guideline of where you're going to go. Oh, nice. 35 minutes. Probably still going to be on this course because we haven't hit the hill yet. I think at 9:30 too is the men's national elites is at 9:30. That's a good pace. Oh, you're fast though, so it's. I'm in slow mode today. There is no jump. I think Dr. Weebles is in the elite men's race. Only problem with using your phone for steering is I can't use my phone if I touch it. I lean the phone over, it'll steer me. I guess I can turn the phone steering off. It's hard to find the time. Where is the time? Well, Dr. Weebles is in it, so I'm sure whenever he comes online, the race is going to start soon. Yeah, you totally could repurpose. See, I have it on my phone. Like there's two modes of steering. You can tilt device. So if I turn tilt device, it doesn't steer, but I can like steer with the buttons. Or if I turn tilt device on, I can pretty much just do that. So yeah, an old phone would totally work well for that. Yeah, I'm burnt from yesterday. I went super hard in yesterday's race, and so I just wanted to get this done, but I'm trying to keep my heart rate below 140 and trying to stay under 150 watts, but there's this big monstrous hill coming up. It's going to be tough. Might have to turn trainer difficulty way down. My weekly totals, I'm so far over. The race yesterday put me at double what my plan was. And then here's another 2.5 hours, but all good for gains. Riding zone 1 doesn't really put a huge amount of strain on your system, so you can do a lot of zone 1 riding even if you're fatigued. I think after this race, probably gonna take at least 3 days off to fully recover from this week. I think right now my weekly target is about 295, or no, 330 points. Yesterday's race was 295. So I'm at, and I rode on Wednesday, so I'm already at 400 and something. And then this ride here is going to be another 100. So I'm going to be clearing close to 600 this week. And my target was 320. The leaders are almost at the finish. Well, thanks for stopping by, Matches. If you're still racing when I'm done, I'll come check it out. Dude, we're so not there yet. This is a long, slow-assed. And the hill is not started yet. Pretty beat from yesterday, so I'm just trying to putter. You're at -6? I'm not at -6. My watt balance is full. There's been no efforts made on this on this ride. Oh, you did it. You're at -6. Yeah. That'll do it. That'll do it. Lap and a half attack. My balance was definitely in the negatives yesterday. I think my fitness signature was a little bit stale, so that's, people I don't think do that often enough. That's like when you watch Watt's Wheelhouse. He always says if people just attacked sooner, he wouldn't be able to hold on and sprint. But everyone just lets him sit in the group, and then he outsprints everybody. Like, you gotta wear him out. Kind of have to like know your competition. Yeah, that's true, but I found most people don't care about working. It's like Brian yesterday. Brian's like super attack. He knew his competition. He knew there was dudes up with him that could easily outsprint him. So he took a freaking chance and went for it. And he put almost a kilometer on those guys. Yeah, Brian's a freaking beast. He can lay. I was looking at his 20-minute power yesterday, and his 20-minute power peak was like 392 watts. But he knows his weakness, and he knew his competition's strength. So he used his strength and went for it, and nobody chased him. Everyone just sat in and let him ride away. Oh, this hill is going to be torturous. This is half an Alp left on this course. I wonder if this hill climb is a segment as well. Probably is. Oh. Interesting. Noticed. Jeez, man. Overlays aren't working, but sound sure is. Keep saying I need to lower the volume in my ears for that, and then I always forget. Like it goes off and I was like, damn it, that's loud. And then I like get distracted about doing other stuff. I have to crank trainer difficulty way down. Can't. No way in that red elevation that I'm going to be able to keep a power below 150. Not going to happen. Not with this gearing. It shouldn't be too bad. This will be like 500 meters of climbing and 10K. It's kind of like the distance of the Alp at half the elevation gain. It'll be manageable. Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to keep this as like as a zone 1 ride. Look at that live ranking. B. Kellison. He got up this hill 1822. There's no way someone did this in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. That's like full on cheat mode. Let's turn this down. Oh, you can change the trainer difficulty on the flipping it. That is easy. Oh, this is gonna be a grind. Holy moly. Oh, now we got some speed. Flat-ish section. Thank goodness. A little incline. Oh, I standing still. Oh, this is steep. how steep this is. It was 17%, 10 meters steep.